Hey, check, check. Looks like we are live and in action. Welcome. Hey, Mudshark. Always glad to have you. Other folks who will be joining after the fact on the recording of this on Twitch or on YouTube, welcome. My name is John Reed. I am a trainer and coach with Industrial Logic, and I thought that it would be fun this time because I don't have a project in mind to live code. Hey, Garbob. Well, let me just see if my automated, there we go. My, come on into the chat and do say hello. And thought it would be fun to, as long as I don't have a project to do, that maybe I could do some code katas. Especially with your participation. I'm really going to lean on like your ideas of which directions to go and what to try. I thought that could be fun. Let's see here. Quick note about Industrial Logic e-learning. If you come to our e-learning page and scroll down, and unfortunately the work I'm doing, the album that I've completed, we call our e-learning albums as if they were records. The album I just completed isn't in the top set. You have to view all and scroll down and find micro testing, and you can get micro testing on Swift. I'm working on other stuff as well. It's not ready yet, but just so you know, Code Smells is on the way. What else am I doing? Test-driven development. That's where I've been putting a lot of work. Yesterday, hey, Michaela. All right, welcome. Good to have you. So I'm doing work on the TDD one. That's not for Swift. That's not yet available. I'm still working on it, but micro testing is there, and very, very happy about this, and hope that you know, as companies start to freak out about the economy, and I think one of the last places that will go, assuming you are at a company that gives you an education budget, that's one of the last things to go. So if you have an education budget, I'll consider trying this out. Microtesting in Swift. All right. Whoops. Come back. I need to switch over. So where to start for code katas? There are lots of them, and I think it will probably be most fun when I start doing ones that I've never done or even seen before. But to start off with, and just for the sake of familiarity and maybe to show off some things that folks haven't seen, you regulars have seen, but I think folks who are new to my coding may not have seen some tricks, some tools. And so I thought it would be fun to do Fizzbuzz, the mother of all katas. I have a colleague, a fellow coach, Steve Quo, Fizzbuzz is his go-to. And you may think that's silly. Well, it's because it's complicated enough. It's not the implementation that's hard. It's that you then get to play with it. That's the fun part. So let's play. And I created a brand new project here. So let's open it up. For starters, in AppCode, as opposed to Xcode. One of the first things that regulars will know I like in my tooling. Let me, does anyone ever win? Well, if you play Fizzbuzz For real. You know, it's a children's counting game, so you can lose, I suppose. I've never done it in person, that is, with kids. I don't know. All right, so here we are. This is a brand new project. There's nothing fancy in here. The first thing that I need to do is edit my configurations, because this is not Xcode, this is AppCode, and I need to set up a thing to run tests. So I come here and say, give me an Xtest configuration to run all tests. That's great. Boom. And now I don't have to do anything weird. I can just hit the play button, or I'm probably not ever going to hit the play button because it's Control R. Oh, you Xcode folks will freak out if it's like, oh, Control? I want Command key. Well, don't worry. You can, let me see if I can resize things here a little. You can change the key maps. You could say, you know, give me Xcode key mapping. And I can see that. That's totally fine. But for me, I'm going to Control R. And it ran 2 tests. What the heck? That's because we've got junk. Well, let me bring in my regular view there. We got junk here. This is what happens when you set up a new project. Apple sticks in their little tutorial there, which is great for teaching, and maybe not so great for getting started. So the first thing I like to do is delete it. Just get rid of it. Goodbye. Okay. Now we can do a fresh start. Let us, where to start? You know, I think the place to start would be to show you first how I've done Fizzbuzz in the past. And my gosh, I've used Fizzbuzz a lot for interviews. Yeah, that's because no UI test, because this is a framework, and yeah, that's the problem with creating a new app, is it plops in the UI tests, and I'm like, I don't want these. When I want them, I'll bring them back, and then you have to get rid of them. Yeah. So. Oh yeah, let's start sort of the old way, or the familiar way, just for contrast. Pauses here while it loads up the Xcode. It's reading in Xcode Templates. Let me do this again so that you can see what I'm doing. I say new, instead of setting like a new Swift type or new file or anything, I say, you know, make me something from an Xcode template. And that's where I have my handy dandy test suite template. And hey, Fizzbuzz, it is. But AppCode doesn't quite get that some group, you know, a group is for one set of targets and not for the other. So you have to keep an eye out for that. And indexing, come on, there it goes. Okay. Now we can do test 0 just to make sure that things fail as expected. Great. We are ready to roll. Again, starting off, let's start green. Oh, no green, because, I mean, not exactly green. There are no tests. Let's start off the way I usually do. Thanks for dropping by, Michaela. Peace. Okay, test desired behavior. By the way, I have changed my prompt here. It used to say, you know, like method or something like it was much longer and complicated because it was helpful for me, particularly in big complicated projects, to remember that I could describe things in my test names as far as like what I'm calling and what the inputs are and what I expect as the outputs. But I'm kind of done a shift in simplifying my world and simplifying my understanding of test names, that you should just test, what is it? Just say it. When you need the complex stuff, you can get there. So it's like one should one or something like that. And then you start off going Fizzbuzz and all this. And the problem here is that because we don't have parameterized tests in Xcode, it's like, okay, there's one should one, and then two should two. I'm just going to leave these empty. And then three should fizz, right? Remind me if you need a reminder about how Fizzbuzz works. Take an integer input and write out, for multiples of 3, write out fizz. This is sort of the longhand way of building it up. But I want to do a couple things. One is I want to bring in approval tests. So let's do that. Approval tests, because I work on it and I think it is the best thing I have made, in large part because I didn't design it. This is Llewellyn Falco's design, going back years across multiple languages. I'm just happy to work with him to bring it into Swift. So if you come to the Swift package index and type in approval. Oh, by the way, for those of you who worked with me on the last project of the spy, there it is. View controller presentation spy is now a Swift package. So thank you for all your help there. But let's look for approval. There we go. Approval tests. And let's use this package. How to bring this in? I have a feeling I might need to fire up Xcode, because Swift Package Manager here is grayed out because it's like, well, it's not a package. Yeah, but I want to use one. And maybe there's a quick way to get there, but let me just fire up Xcode. All right, so in here, when working on an Xcode project, yes, that's the URL we want. And I will add it. And let's take the master. I really need to ask Llewellyn to rename this to main branch. It's still called master branch. And here it comes. Add it to the test target. Hey, Cody. Welcome, and your first time chat. Good to have you. Fizzbuzz, the one caught out to rule them all. Absolutely. All right, so now It's brought in approvals as a package. So if I go back to app code, there it comes. I should be able to build this and see it build a bunch more stuff. Yep, there it comes. Approvals. Uh-oh. Oh, shoot. That's right. I thought I didn't. I have an error in approvals. I didn't think it would have actually affect people. Whoops. Okay, let me come back, and let's not use that one. Let's use, how do you specify version 2. Okay. Let's see if it comes in. Let me try to build again. There we go. All right. That's better. All right, so I want to use approvals because it gives me a way to do parameterized tests really easily. So that's one thing I want to do. More than parameterized tests. Well, you'll see. Something else I think would be fun that we've done in the past, in the 2 projects ago, but we couldn't do in the view controller presentation spy, is to use a plugin to do TCR. Yep, exactly. And it's called Limited Whip. Oh, it needs to restart. That's all right. Please restart. Plugins. Xcode used to have plugins. Now they're starting to find their way with Swift package plugins, a way to have plugins and still be secure. But I love plugins in AppCode. All right, so now if we come to Limited Whip, I don't want the change size watchdog. I want TCR. Give me TCR. And on past test, I now have a new way, new set up to do commit dialog so that they go away. So I'm going to try this. Use commit message. Don't revert files. Here we go. This is something I'm trying to remember. It even has as a suggestion in here. This sure looks like very, very close to approvals. Let's go back to that approvals page. Because down at the bottom, as far as artifacts. Received doesn't matter because they're temporary, but I do want to exclude approved. And so Sumi, I also want to exclude tests. So it's not proper TCR, but there's a reason for this with approvals. I need the test to fail. And I don't know. I just, maybe it's because I'm lazy, but it's what we found before that worked well. So let me try now making a quick something approval something. Let's make, I don't know, try approval. Oh, I have to import it. There we go. Try approvals, verify. Hello. And let's give this a run. It failed, but it didn't pop up. I think I need to create the command line launcher. I want it to pop up inside of AppCode. Let's try this again. There we go. So here's our test. Hello. Got that working. And it didn't revert. Let me just show you why I want to keep tests from reverting. So if I run now, and the test fails, oh, it didn't revert. It didn't revert because this isn't, I don't have a Git repo on this. Boop, boop, boop. Let's do that. And as far as git ignore, do I care? I don't know. Yeah. Hey, thank you for first time chat from SS Mores? S'mores? Good to have you. And thank you for, do I care? Yes, I care, they say. So let's get git ignore going with, say, macOS, Xcode, Swift Package Manager. This ought to be good enough. All right, and let us create a new file here. Git ignore. Doesn't go in a target. And yes. And I am also going to exclude that's the hidden folder for AppCode. Just get it out of there. All right. And with this, let us see what happens with a commit. I feel like that isn't enough. Oh, and I also want to make sure to actually put this in, it says right here in the instructions for approval tests, exclude this. So let's make sure to exclude that. So the received goes away. But where's the project file? Wow, this is becoming a lot more complicated just to set up. More complicated than I realized. All right. Sometimes I still want to come back to here. Where's the project file? Don't I have a project file? I'm confused. Let me close this because I don't quite trust it. There it is, Xcode Proj. Oh, Swift Package Manager. I shouldn't have put that in. Let me Let me try again. Mac OS, Xcode. Let's just say that's good enough. Let me grab this. Overly aggressive. So come down to the bottom here, because now it should. There we go. So what was happening was the, because I said, yeah, Swift Package Manager, I'm using it. Yeah, but it's not a Swift package. It's inside of a project. And so the git ignore was like, well, if you have any generated project files, we don't want those in there. Yes, sometimes you do. All right. Slow and cumbersome. I think next time I do a kata, then I should do all this beforehand. But maybe this is instructive. Let me not check in the approved file yet. This is just sort of the initial commit. Hey, TCR is like, you can't just commit. I'm like, yes, please. All right. Now let's see if we can't. Let me do a simple failure. Just to see. There we go. So there's TCR in action. It failed. You can see the failure right here, and it reverted. So lesson learned, you can't TCR without Git or without a version control. However, I do want I really prefer to, maybe I should try without them. I prefer to use soft TCR where it's like, it's not going to revert the test files. But maybe there's a way I can do this. I don't think so with approvals, though. I don't think it'll work because the idea of TCR is that it forces you to really minimize any breaks and to rethink maybe the order of things, how you do it. However, for approvals, it has to fail. That's the mechanism by which the inside of ApprovalTests, the reporter then says, whoops, this doesn't match. And that gives you then the chance, the human, the chance to approve the results. So TDD does require tests to fail first, and TCR is a little different. So it sort of comes out differently. You don't necessarily see a failing test with TCR. For regular unit tests, I've done TCR with tests on. You end up taking smaller steps with tests. Garpop. Hey, I just forgot. I forgot. Come on. Yeah. You generally, you still might see things fail, but then it'll revert on you, and you still want to move in small steps. But for approvals, it has to fail. That is the only mechanism. And let me show you. So here's verify hello. And there it is. And if I approve it right now, and it's reverted, and I have excluded this, the approved file. So I'd have to do this again. I suppose, you know, that could work. So I expect this will pass and commit. Yep, it passes, and then it popped up the commit area here for me to type in. Cody, TCR experiment that I haven't tried yet was to make an disable TCR. Yes, so that sometimes you can get out of it and say, you know what, I really want to see the test fail, but I don't want to lose my work. You have a USB foot switch. Oh man, now that would be cool. If you could do a foot switch and have a little indicator of like TCR is on or TCR is off. Wouldn't that be awesome? So that is one way to operate. The other way is to do it in 2 steps like I did. Let's leave it alone for now, because as before, when I was first experimenting with TCR, it's like lean into the pain. There may be things to learn. Or I may say, forget it. We'll see. All right. This was a lot of setup. I'm not going to commit this. I do think I want to revert this. What's unversioned in here? Hey, that's no good. Let's amend the initial commit. Embrace the pain. There's things to learn in the pain. Let's Fizzbuzz. That was a considerable amount of setup, but that's okay because I'm here to learn, and I just learned. I just learned something. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll learn something. But I did, so it's definitely worth it for me. So here's where it might get a little complicated. I want to Fizzbuzz. I want to TDD Fizzbuzz, but not in the classic TDD style. In fact, what do I want the name? Maybe I just want test. S'mores. If only your test could have spaces in it. There are 2 things I wish for, and that's one of them. Kotlin folks can just say, actually, they don't even have to start with test. That's the sucky thing. They can just say, my cool thing, like that, and annotate it with a test like that. Wish we had that. Build a Sublime Text. Oh, you built one, Garbob? A Sublime Text plugin to do TCR? That is cool. I love it. Nice. All right. I am going to just start with the name test. It's the bare minimum. And I think I'm only going to have a single test. That is part of the cool thing about approvals. How to do this? How to do this in small steps. I want to do approvals, verify, not a plain verify. What is it? Verify all. I want, for verify all, it takes an array. And what I want is, I want to run Fizzbuzz over the classic thing, which is just like, you know, give me Fizzbuzz 1 to 100. And so what I want is How do I make an array out of a range? I think it is something like actually going 1 to 100, something like that. Oh, I forgot. I've got I want my watcher. File watchers. I had my file watcher turned off, which I normally use for Swift format, but I had it turned off so that I could make a screencast for the Industrial Logic TDD course. And I don't want people getting confused with like things jumping around. Verify all. Instead of options, I want, what is it? I'm trying to remember. There's the, let me jump to the verify all here, and it's not this one. Labeler. Labeler is a closure. So I want to provide a labeler that all it does is spit out that. Okay, that's a fair amount of stuff. And this will fail. Like even if I got the syntax all right, which I may not, it will fail. If the test fails, it'll revert. I don't want to lose it. So I'm going to copy. No exact matches. Shoot. Verify all. Go back. What? Does it need the header array labeler? Whoops, sorry. That was bright. I don't think it needs the header. Here, let me try again. Verify all and look for the right one. Here's the labeler. Looks like it wants, or is this the, here's one with a labeler. Let's take the first one. Options. Thought options were optional. Will this do anything? No? Crap. Don't need the header? Oh, did it have an array? No, that's implicit. That is, it's unnamed. I think it's not figuring out that this is an array. There's something about this. Let's try making, first let's take a range, 1 to 100, and extract this as a range. There's a starter, and there's Swift format. It went ahead and added spaces. And then can I take the range and turn it into Can't I do that? Well, it sure looks like it. Here I'm being paranoid by copying. Okay, yeah, it is having trouble. I'm still not quite getting this. How do I make a range into an array in Swift? Array literal, repeating. Don't know. Here's where you folks can help me, or I can look it up myself. This looks explicit. Well, let's try that. Let me assign this, copy this out, comment it out. Let me assign this to something called array. An array of element is not what I want. I want an array of int. Like, does this compile? It does. I'm going to run tests because I don't want to lose it. Okay, so this is test only change, baby steps, no assertion. So can I now say, does it have enough to make this? Cannot convert. Oh, it needs to output a string. Well, this is progress. Almost there, almost there. My gosh. There we go. Yeah. Hello. Oh my gosh, Ronquist? Surprise. It's good to have you. So yeah, you were exactly right. That the problem was that it was my closure type wasn't correct. So let me approve all this, because what I have now is just spitting out 1 to 100. To approve this, I'll just say, yes, copy this over. And let me do this again. And then I'll simplify it. So the problem is the labeler needs to convert to a string. That was my mistake. So I need to repeat this by passing in this. I think this will pass and therefore ask me to commit. There we go. 1 to 100. Now I can do some refactoring. Whew. Like this, we don't need. And I wish there were a way to make this nicer. Oh, I don't need this. I am passing it in. Okay, so it was working. I was just thrown off. Great. I'm gonna reuse the last message there, which means I should be able to inline this. Unfortunately, there's no inline yet. Cool. Okay. Phew. Talk about a lot of setup. Okay. I think all we're going to get to today is maybe my initial bare bones implementation of Fizzbuzz. Well, we still got time. What is in here? Oh, shoot. The approvals weren't going in. Yes, add them. Oh my. There is no inline in AppCode yet. I'm about to send an email over saying, please. I am able. One nice thing about JetBrains is that for every bug I file and every feature request, I get status updates as their status changes, and so somebody has been assigned inline function now, and that's good. However, I think inline variable, I want to tell them inline variable is the first one, the more important one that I need all the time. Let's make this more interesting. Let's say we want to use this as input and output. Let me grab this so I don't lose it, because what I want is 1 goes to 1, 2 goes to 2, and so forth. Okay? Let me stick that back in there and approve this. Try again. It needs to fail. I need to approve it. I forgot to approve it. Let me stick this back in there. There it goes. All right, so this is now show 1 goes to 1, etc. Hard agree on inline variable over inline function, or just in general. It is one of the saddest things that I encounter in AppCode. Here's another one I should file a bug on. Ghost errors. This is there. That exists. We may see more ghost errors as we go here, because now I'm in a place where I can start to refactor. Let me show you inline variable over inline method. Yeah, great. Thanks for the confirmation. It's good to know. AppCode also does, besides seeing the project files, you can see all files inside of a folder, and that is a good way to see. Oh, this one is still sticking around. I don't want that. Get rid of that. Oops. Let me delete that. Here we go. It's a good way to see the test, because of the way approvals works. That is, it keeps artifacts that show the test cases or the test output. It's nice to be able to look at them because it's not inside of the code itself. It's in this other thing right next to it. And here we can see that it's now showing 1 goes to 1, and this is the first step of Fizzbuzz, is just to be able to count. So let's see if we can't do this with TCR. I would like to say, don't go to #0. I want to say go to Fizzbuzz evaluate like that. Lack of ghost errors. It is here. It's not keeping up with the fact that Fizzbuzz doesn't exist. Fizzbuzz. Do I want it to be a static like that? I think I want to create some sort of object and then call it, evaluate on it. So let's do this. Here we go. Fizzbuzz in a new file. Struct. Put it in the production code. And don't ask, do add things. And evaluate, which takes a number. What's a good name? Number, which is an int, and spits out a string. No, a string. A regular string. Thank you. And here, the quick way to keep my work is to say, just return number. And it passes. So this is the first feature. I'm going to say F bang bang. There it goes. So now we have the beginnings of Fizzbuzz, and I can clean this up. Like, don't really need this initializer. In fact, I don't even need foundation. And now we're refactoring. This is a test-supported procedural refactoring. But notice what I didn't have to do with this is say first test Fizzbuzz with 1 and then following TDD say, well, I don't want to put in more production code than is necessary to pass the test code. So I'm only working on 1 test. In fact, I'm sort of working on 100 tests right now, right? 100 tests at one time. That's part of the beauty of this, is that I can now really fool around. In fact, let's now do some stuff. Oh, the labeler, this can be a trailing closure. So there we have it. Here's the input and here's the output. Now I should be able to go to town. All this to set it up. And now let's have fun. Let's say if the number, well, let me just show you one silly case. Say if the number is 3, then return fizz. So this should change the 1 input. There we go, like that. 3 goes to fizz, right? Nothing else. and it will have reverted that. So I want it to be a little nicer. And here's where, can I do this with TCR? Because I need the test to fail. If number is multiple of 3, I know what to do. We're going to move in small steps. This is why TCR exists. Let me back off. Here we go. Before I add fizz in the approved file, I am going to lean into TCR and say, I want a conditional. But for the conditional, I'm just going to keep the same output. In fact, let me start by making this an explicit return, just to make things easier. And let's see if I can't wrap this. How do I wrap? Thought I set this up. I'm trying to remember my keystrokes here for what I set up for wrapping. Hang on a second. If I come to my live templates, inside of Swift, surround with if. How do I do that? Was there a keystroke on that? If. Shoot. I'm going to have to look it up. For now, let me do this old school. If number is multiple of 3, then return the same thing, unchanged. Yeah. And now I can say, you know what? Now let's do this in steps. And what TCR forced me to do is say, you know, copying and pasting is sort of a cheat. I really want the revert to force me to move in small steps. And this is part of TCR is saying, just have a conditional, return the same thing, or have a loop that's empty, or, you know, anytime you want to add branching or looping, do it small. Because this should now fail, but it's easy for me to recover and look at how it fails. This is exactly what I want. Every 3, I'm going to pick up this whole thing here and approve it. And do this again. And there we go. Oops. That is fizz. Let's do this again. Numbers of multiples of 5. Let's put that in there. Oh, my indentation was wrong. That's okay. So this should still pass, right? It's not an F. It's really yeah. And now I can do buzz This will fail, but it fails in the way I want. Here's multiples of 5 coming throughout. Now, 15, multiple of 3 and 5, that's still leaving as fizz gets precedence. But everything else is okay, and this is a good step. Notice what I'm not doing. Oh, shoot. I forgot. I needed to approve it. Notice what I'm not doing is changing test code, because this is sort of test code. It's external to the code itself because it's an artifact. I'm updating and evolving the tests so that now I can say buzz. Cool. Which leaves one last thing. Let me duplicate this line. Come on, hey, get out of there. I don't want you. Wrong. Turn no, not magnification. Wrong. Hiding. Thank you. Me. This is interesting. And I'm glad that I leaned into this pain because it's forcing me to learn. All right, so this, because, oh, this won't pass. Ooh, this will not pass. Because right now, multiple of 3 and multiple of 5. Oh, it is fizz though. Right now, fizz is what it's doing. So let's try this. Good. So this is prepare to Fizzbuzz. All right. So now Fizzbuzz. And that should fix up the multiples of 15. Look at that. All right. Oh, shoot, I forgot to approve it again. Do it again. Approve. And now it's not, you can see that the motions of TCR with approvals are not, they're not in my fingers yet. Approve the file. Do the test, approve the file, or change the code, approve the file, change the code again. And there we have it. That is Fizzbuzz. That was really interesting. And here's my test. My one test, except that what was happening was this was changing and evolving. Has a lot of test duplication. You mean in terms of like being unnecessary? Yeah. Really, it only needs to go a certain number to have confidence. Typically, right, you'll go up to 30. But quite a lot of times, there's the way the Fizzbuzz kata is often phrased is to say, give me 1 to 100. And this isn't quite the same thing because it's not actually printing this, but it gives me confidence. And yeah, you could trim this. Anyway, there we have it. I thought I'd get this, the standard implementation in a few minutes and then start to play with it. And maybe I'll play with it next time. Maybe we won't. But I think that is enough for one shot and it was good for me to learn, to experience some things, especially around not using hard TCR. Yeah, the test is super small, isn't it? The test code is. Look at this again. Now it's a little funny to read if you're not used to it, but if you can read Swift, you can see and verify all 1 to 100. You can sort of figure it out. And so that was cool. What to do next time? Do I want to continue to play with Fizzbuzz and maybe refactor it? Maybe. Or maybe I want to set all this up for something else or do a different kata. I don't know. I'm open to your input, but I need to go. My family wants to go off to a farmer's market now, and I want to join them. So maybe shoot me a note on Twitter, or I'll put out a little tweet that people can reply to as far as like, where to next? We'll figure it out. All right. Thanks for joining me, and yeah. Hopefully see you next week. Thanks for coming by. Take care.